Hello, in this TV Crazy Man video, we took a look at some of the rare times that goofs and bloopers occurred on the Incredible Hulk TV show, starring Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby. In the pilot episode, David Banner, in the very first transformation scene of the series, we find a goof that's so easy to miss. In the scene, Banner is in a terrible mood. It's raining, it's storming, and on top of that, he's just gotten a flat tire. As soon as he gets out to investigate, we clearly see the tire's flat, and the hubcap has been blown off as a result. Then Banner goes to get the jack out of the trunk, and as he goes to jack the front of the car up, the hubcap is mysteriously back on. I wonder, did somebody think they were doing a good deed by putting that hubcap back on? I'm not sure. But now it's no wonder this was overlooked in the shooting. From Lou Ferrigno's count, he said that for himself that he had been working very late, it was very wet, and he was ready to go home. And this led to Lou actually having to lift the car for real when the effects team weren't able to set up the equipment in a timely manner. Now that's incredible, which is an entirely different show, but if you'd been around in the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. Here's another goof that the eagle-eyed viewer may have seen. Once the Hulk starts to smash the car, the lights go off, which is totally understandable since the Hulk has beaten the car to a pulp. But once the Hulk is ready to pick up the car and throw it down the hill, the lights are back on again. I don't know, maybe the Hulk just pulled the Fonz, hit the hood, and the lights came back on. Now this is the episode The Beast Would End, where the Hulk battles a gorilla, or a man in a monkey suit, but it's still a cool episode. Now keep your eye on the bottom left. If you're like me and you've seen this episode a million times, this is going to freak you out if you notice this. Just check this out. It's a crew man who just didn't put his head far enough down. It's freaky when you see it. Now from the second episode, which was basically a second TV movie, Banner faces up against a bear and changes into the Hulk. Now, despite the small issues I'll talk about in a second, I have to say this scene still comes out a lot more realistically than would happen today. If they did the same scene today, it would be a CGI bear, and more likely than not, you'd just be, okay, that's a computer-generated image. But here, they mingle the use of an actual real-life bear and what appears to be a stuffed bear. Now, the blooper comes from the fact that Lou's makeup is adversely affected by being in the water. You can see instances where it's coming off his skin and where it's wearing off onto the bear. Granted, you have to really be paying attention. Still, I think it's interesting to note some of the problems and challenges they had back in the day when effects were all practical. The next technical goof is from the episode The Disciple, which guest starred Rick Springfield. You know, the highly popular rock star from the 80s who sang that song about wanting Jesse's girl. By the way, he also guest starred in an episode of Wonder Woman and The 6 Million Dollar Man as well. I guess he was a big superhero fan. In the second season episode, for some reason Lou Ferrigno is wearing green tights throughout every Hulk out. You can clearly see the Hulk appears to have no toes after the first Hulk transformation, where Banner is placed in a stockade. We see the stockings again when the Hulk escapes from a police car, and lastly, Lou's lack of toes is visible when the Hulk goes into a fiery building. Now, the only thing you have to wonder about is why did they point the camera towards Lou's feet, knowing he was wearing stockings like that? Now, in the first season episode, Terror in Times Square, if you look closely, you'll notice that Lou Ferrigno is wearing green sneakers, which, of course, you can't blame him from wearing shoes while running down the dirty streets of 1970s New York. Now, the only really big goof I can't forgive of this episode is the fact they missed a golden opportunity to have the Hulk meet Spider-Man, who was at least supposed to be in New York City on screen. In actuality, they filmed most of that series in LA. But still, it fit the Hulk's location in the story and could have been the very first major Marvel superhero team-up on screen. There was another footwear blooper in this episode. Again, if you look closely, you can see Banner wearing shoes right after he transforms back from the Hulk. I guess Bill Bixby was also worried about stepping on something sharp or disgusting in 1970s New York. Okay, in the second season premiere episode, Married, which is one of the best episodes in television history, in my opinion, there is one very curious blooper in particular I thought was kind of neat. In one of the dream sequences where Banner is trying to gain control of the Hulk, Lou smashes open a vault door. If you look really closely at the door as it falls, you can see where the darn makeup came off his hand into a Hulk-sized handprint. Yeah, and my wife fusses about my handprints on windows. I don't have anything on Lou Ferrigno in that department. Okay, in the episode Life and Death, in this scene we see the Hulk jumping down an elevator shaft. According to my research, this is a stuntman instead of Lou Ferrigno, but that's not the reason I think this could be considered a goof or a blooper. It's just the way he's jumping down the elevator shaft. It's almost like he's disco dancing the boogie woogie or something. Now in this scene from the TV reunion movie The Incredible Hulk Returns, it's clear that it's a stuntman and not Lou, who is probably cut even better for this movie than he was in the original TV show run. In this scene from this episode, safety wires are visible as the Hulk pulls up two puny humans. In the pilot episode, the Hulk attempts to save a little girl from drowning, who clearly is actually a grown stunt woman. Being a big Cobra Kai and Rocky fan, I couldn't pass this one up, even if it is a little bit small. In the first season episode, Final Round, the great Martin Kove guest stars. You know him as the big bad guy from the Cobra Kai series and the Karate Kid movies, John Kreese. Of all things, Kove plays a boxer named Rocky, not to be confused with Stallone's Rocky. By the way, Kove also starred with Stallone in the second Rambo movie. Now the goof occurs when Rocky is thrown against what is supposed to be a brick wall that gives in like, a wall built for a stage. The really interesting thing about this episode, of course, is that Kove actually plays a good guy. I guess I'll just leave that in. It's the blooper on a video about bloopers. Yeah. Just a quick update on my upcoming graphic novel. I'm still working on Liberty Ace in between videos. It's taken a while, but I'm basically doing it all myself. All the art, writing, and everything. Ace is from America and the far reaches of space that was settled by his ancestors that were astronauts from the Reagan era in our world. A manhunt for the bad guy who murdered his father brings Ace back to our planet where things aren't exactly going well, unless you're into a post-apocalyptic future. It's a wild ride and definitely different from anything you've ever seen before, but it's also got the kind of elements that I feel belong in a good comic book story. It's got a sci-fi angle that makes you think about the possibilities of time and space with good old-fashioned action and adventure. And if you'd like to see some of my previous books, including the funny comic book style caveman comics and sci-fi novel series, The Time Cruisers, then check out my Amazon book page. The link is in the description. Oh, and the main hero from my Time Cruisers novel series has a role in the Liberty Ace story. Agent John Martin, a sailor from the USS Eldridge, becomes a part of the time travel experiment known as the Philadelphia Experiment, which radically alters his body where he finds himself lost in time for years with a strange healing ability and apparent speed that he later realizes is a byproduct of an ability to alter time and space in relation to the area close to his proximity. That was a mouthful. Now, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and the bell for future notifications. And thanks so much to the TV Crazy Man subscribers out there for helping the channel go past 1,000 subscribers this past week. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again and have a great day.